Evelyn Hart's Louboutins clicked against the marble floor of her penthouse, each step echoing the pounding headache behind her temples. The board meeting had run 4 hours over schedule, and all she wanted was to hold her daughter, maybe steal 20 minutes of sleep before the midnight feeding. She pushed open the heavy door, expecting to find Hannah rocking Lily in the nursery. Instead, silence greeted her. Then, from the living room, a soft humming. Male. Unfamiliar. Evelyn's blood turned to ice. She rounded the corner and froze. A man sat on her cream sofa, his back to her, cradling something small and precious against his chest. A baby bottle rested in his calloused hand, and as he shifted, Evelyn caught sight of dark curls and a tiny fist. Lily. A stranger was holding her 3-month-old daughter. Evelyn's hand shot to her phone, finger hovering over 911. Her pulse hammered in her ears. Every instinct screamed to snatch her baby away, to call security, to destroy whoever dared. The man turned slightly, murmuring something too soft to hear. And then Lily made a sound Evelyn hadn't heard in days, a contented coo. The man's voice followed, barely above a whisper. "There you go, sweetheart. Not so scary anymore, is it?" Evelyn's finger trembled over the screen. The phone nearly slipped from Evelyn's grip. She should move, should speak, should do something other than stand there like a statue while a complete stranger fed her child. "Who the hell are you?" The words came out sharper than broken glass. The man jerked upright, nearly dropping the bottle. Blue eyes wide with shock met hers across the room. He was younger than she'd thought from the back, maybe early 30s, with work boots and a navy shirt that had seen better days. "I Miss Hart, I'm so sorry, I didn't hear you come in." He stood carefully, keeping Lily secure against his shoulder. "I'm Daniel. Daniel Cooper, from Riverside Plumbing and Heating." Evelyn took 3 steps forward, hand extended. "Give me my daughter, now." Of course, yes. Daniel moved toward her, but Lily chose that moment to whimper, her face scrunching up in preparation for a full-blown wail. Daniel stopped. So did Evelyn. They stood frozen, a bizarre tableau in the middle of her $1 million penthouse, while a baby who barely knew her own mother began to cry. "I can explain," Daniel said quickly, bouncing slightly on his heels the way Evelyn had seen in parenting videos but never quite mastered. "Hannah, your nanny, she got an emergency call. Her mother fell. She asked if I could just watch Lily for a few minutes while she left my daughter with a plumber." Evelyn's voice could have cut steel. She was panicking. "And I told her I have a son, that I knew what I was doing. It was only supposed to be 10 minutes. But then Lily got upset, and the bottle was right there. And He trailed off, looking helpless. "I'm sorry. I should have called you." Evelyn reached for Lily. The baby's cries intensified immediately, her little body going rigid. Daniel winced. "She's been like that for about 20 minutes. Wouldn't settle until I tried the bottle. I think she might have been hungry." Of course, she was hungry. Evelyn had left explicit instructions about feeding times, but Hannah must have gotten the call before the scheduled feed, and now her baby was being comforted by a stranger while her own mother stood there useless. "How long have you been here?" Evelyn asked, fighting to keep her voice steady. "About 45 minutes total. The water heater issue took 20. Hannah left maybe 25 minutes ago." Daniel shifted Lily higher on his shoulder, one hand supporting her head with practiced ease. "Look, I know how this looks. I know you don't know me from Adam, but I promise you, I was just trying to help." Lily's cries had softened to hiccuping whimpers. Evelyn watched the way Daniel's thumb traced small circles on her daughter's back, the same soothing motion the lactation consultant had demonstrated in the hospital. "You said you have a son, Ben. He's 5. Daniel's expression softened. The words hung in the air between them. Evelyn heard what he didn't say, recognized the weight of single parenthood in the tired lines around his eyes. Still, he was a stranger. In her home, holding her child. "I need you to leave," she said, quietly. Daniel nodded immediately. Of course. He tried to transfer Lily into Evelyn's arms. The baby's cries escalated instantly, her face turning an alarming shade of red. Evelyn took her anyway, rocking and shushing the way the books said to do. Lily wailed louder. Daniel stood there, hands hovering awkwardly, clearly torn between leaving and helping. Maybe try the bottle? He offered. She only had about an ounce. Evelyn tried. Lily turned her head away, body arching backward. Here. Daniel reached out, then caught himself. Sorry, may I? Against every instinct, every rule she'd set for herself about strangers and safety and maintaining control, Evelyn handed her daughter back. Lily quieted within seconds. Evelyn stood in her own living room, watching a man she'd never met do something she'd been failing at for 3 months. Make her daughter happy. The thought landed like a punch to the sternum. Daniel had settled back onto the sofa, Lily cradled in the crook of his arm, bottle angled just right. He wasn't looking at Evelyn anymore. His entire focus was on the baby, murmuring nonsense words between her pulls on the bottle. You're a hungry girl, aren't you? Yes, you are. Much better than crying, right? Right. Evelyn's phone buzzed. A text from Hannah. Mrs. Hart. I'm so sorry. Mom broke her hip. At hospital now. Called agency for replacement tonight. Daniel said he'd stay until you got home. I'm so sorry. So he'd volunteered. Hadn't been coerced or manipulated. Had simply chosen to help. Evelyn looked at him again. Really looked this time. Saw the careful way he supported Lily's head. The patience in his posture. The small smile when the baby's eyes started to droop. You've done this before, she said. It wasn't a question. Every day for 5 years. Daniel glanced up briefly. Ben was colicky. Didn't sleep through the night until he was almost 2. I got pretty good at the midnight bottle shuffle. Where's his mother? The question was too personal, too intrusive. But Evelyn needed to know who this man was before she could decide what to do. Daniel's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. Car accident. 3 years ago. She was on her way home from picking up dinner. I'm sorry. Me too. He looked down at Lily, who was nearly asleep now, the bottle forgotten against her lips. Ben asks about her sometimes. I show him pictures, tell him stories, try to make sure he knows she loved him. Evelyn felt something crack in her chest. She recognized that tone. The determination mixed with grief. The weight of being the only parent standing between your child and the world. Lily's father isn't in the picture, she heard herself say. He signed away his rights before she was born. Didn't want complications for his political career. Daniel's expression darkened. I'm sorry. That's his loss. I tell myself that. Evelyn moved closer, sitting on the chair across from the sofa. Lily had fallen completely asleep, her tiny mouth slack, one hand fisted in Daniel's shirt. He made no move to shift her. You should probably take her, he said softly. I know you don't know me. I know this whole situation is bizarre, but she's sleeping now. Might make the transfer easier. Evelyn reached out, and this time Lily stayed peaceful as Daniel carefully laid her in her mother's arms. The baby's weight settled against Evelyn's chest, warm and perfect and hers. Thank you, Evelyn whispered. No problem. Daniel stood, gathering his tool bag from beside the water heater. The heating system should be fine now, just needed a pressure valve adjustment. He moved toward the door, and Evelyn knew she should let him go. Should lock the door behind him and pretend this strange evening never happened. Instead, she said, Wait. Daniel turned. You didn't have to stay. You could have left when Hannah did. Called someone else. I could have, he shrugged. But she was crying. And I was here. Seemed like the right thing to do. Such a simple answer. Such an extraordinary act. Evelyn looked down at her sleeping daughter, then back at the man who'd cared for her when she couldn't. "What's your son's name again?" "Ben." "Benjamin. Does he like dinosaurs?" Daniel's eyebrows rose. "He's 5. He thinks dinosaurs are the pinnacle of evolution. The Natural History Museum is having a special exhibit on pterosaurs." Running for another month. Evelyn kept her voice casual, even as her heart raced. "I have corporate tickets, if you and Ben wanted to go sometime." She trailed off, watching Daniel's face carefully. He studied her for a long moment. "Why?" "Because you helped my daughter. Because you didn't have to, but you did." Evelyn shifted Lily slightly. "And because I think maybe you understand something about this that most people don't. Being a single parent, being alone even when you're not." The words hung between them, raw and honest in a way Evelyn rarely allowed herself to be. Daniel's expression softened. "Saturday afternoon?" "Ben doesn't have soccer. Saturday works." He nodded, something like understanding passing between them. Then he pulled a bent business card from his pocket, scribbled a number on the back. "That's my cell. In case you need anything, with the heating system. Or," he hesitated, "or anything else." Evelyn took the card. Their fingers brushed briefly. "Thank you, Daniel. Anytime. Miss Hart." "Evelyn, please." He smiled then, a real smile that reached his eyes. "Anytime, Evelyn." The door closed behind Daniel with a soft click, and Evelyn stood in the sudden silence of her penthouse, holding her sleeping daughter and a stranger's phone number. She should throw the card away, should chalk this up to a bizarre coincidence, and move on with her carefully controlled life. Instead, she carried Lily to the nursery, laid her gently in the crib, and sat in the rocking chair Hannah usually occupied. Through the window, Manhattan glittered in the darkness, a million lights representing a million lives Evelyn would never know. She'd spent 34 years building her empire, proving she could succeed in a world designed to shut women out. The cost had been steep: late nights, missed moments, relationships that crumbled under the weight of her ambition. She'd told herself it was worth it, that success would fill the hollow spaces inside her. Then Lily had arrived, unexpected and terrifying and perfect, and suddenly success felt like sand slipping through her fingers. Because what did it matter if she built a billion-dollar company but couldn't comfort her own child? Daniel had managed it in minutes. Evelyn looked at the business card, still clutched in her hand. Riverside Plumbing and Heating. The logo was slightly faded, the edges worn from living in someone's wallet. She pulled out her phone, found the main number for the company, and sent an email to her assistant. "Tomorrow morning, arrange a bonus payment to Riverside Plumbing. Employee, Daniel Cooper. Amount, $5,000. Reason, exceptional service beyond contract requirements." She hit send before she could overthink it. Lily stirred in her sleep, making the small grunting sounds that meant she'd wake hungry in a few hours. Evelyn stood, pressed a kiss to her daughter's forehead, and whispered, "We're going to be okay, baby girl. I don't know how yet, but we are." The words felt less like a lie than they had yesterday. 3 days later, Evelyn stood in her corner office, staring at the email from Riverside Plumbing's owner without really seeing it. "Miss Hart, thank you for the generous bonus regarding Daniel Cooper's service. However, Daniel has requested we return the payment to you." He said, and I quote, "I didn't help because I wanted money. I helped because a baby needed someone. If you'd like to discuss this further, please feel free to contact me directly. Best regards, Tom Rivera, owner." Evelyn read it 3 times. No one turned down $5,000. No one. Her phone buzzed. Hannah, checking in about Lily's afternoon nap schedule. Everything back to normal. The emergency with her mother resolved with surgery and a rehabilitation plan. Normal. Right. Except Evelyn kept thinking about the way Daniel had held Lily. The quiet competence. The complete absence of judgment when Evelyn had stood there, frozen and useless. She picked up her phone, pulled up Daniel's number. stared at it for a full minute before typing. The museum. This Saturday at 2 p.m. Meet at the main entrance? The response came faster than she'd expected. Ben's been talking about nothing else. See you then. Simple, easy. As if this wasn't the first time Evelyn had initiated contact with a man in over 2 years. Saturday arrived, wrapped in October sunshine. Evelyn had changed outfits 4 times before settling on jeans and a cashmere sweater, clothes that said casual without trying too hard. She'd hired a new weekend nanny, a grandmother type named Margaret who came with impeccable references and a warmth that immediately put Lily at ease. "You look nervous, dear," Margaret observed as Evelyn checked her appearance one last time. "I'm not nervous. I'm never nervous." And I'm 25. Margaret smiled, adjusting Lily on her hip. "It's lovely that you're making time for yourself. This little one will be fine." Evelyn kissed Lily's cheek, grabbed her bag, and headed out before she could talk herself out of it. Daniel was already waiting at the museum entrance, hand in hand with a small boy who was practically vibrating with excitement. The child had his father's dark hair and sharp features, but his eyes were lighter, almost gray. Evelyn. Daniel's smile was genuine, if slightly uncertain. "This is Ben." Ben stuck out his hand with the seriousness only a 5-year-old could muster. "Nice to meet you, Miss Hart. Dad says you work with money and buildings." Evelyn shook his hand solemnly. "I do. And you can call me Evelyn. Your dad says you're a dinosaur expert." "I know 73 different kinds," Ben announced proudly. "Want to hear them? Maybe we could see them instead?" Daniel suggested, one hand on his son's shoulder. "That's kind of why we're here." They made their way inside, and Evelyn watched Ben transform from a well-mannered child into a bundle of pure joy. He raced from exhibit to exhibit, reading every placard aloud, asking questions faster than the docents could answer them. Daniel followed at a more measured pace, apologizing to strangers when Ben got too loud, redirecting excess energy with the ease of long practice. "He's wonderful," Evelyn said as they watched Ben press his face against the glass of a fossil display. "He's a lot." But Daniel's expression was pure affection. "I keep waiting for the terrible 2s to end. Turns out they just evolve into the ferocious 5s. How do you manage it? Work and parenting and—" She gestured vaguely, encompassing everything. "Some days better than others." Daniel leaned against the wall beside her. "I've got a good setup with work. Tom, my boss, he's understanding about Ben's schedule, and there's a great after-school program near the elementary school. But it's still hard, especially when Ben asks why he doesn't have a mom like the other kids." The words hit harder than Evelyn expected. She thought about Lily, about the questions that would come eventually. What do you tell him? The truth. That his mom loved him very much. That sometimes people leave even when they don't want to. That it's okay to be sad about it. Daniel watched his son with fierce tenderness, and that he's enough. That he's always been enough, exactly as he is. Evelyn's throat tightened. That's good. That's really good. You'll figure it out too," Daniel said quietly. "With Lily, when those questions come, how do you know? Because you're here. Because you're trying." He met her eyes. "That's most of the battle right there." They stood in comfortable silence, watching Ben discover a new exhibit on flying reptiles. The little boy's excitement was infectious, and Evelyn found herself smiling for the first time in days. "Can I ask you something?" Daniel's voice was careful. "The bonus. You didn't have to do that. You didn't have to stay with Lily. That's different, is it?" Evelyn crossed her arms. "You gave your time, your skills, your kindness. Why shouldn't that be worth something? Because I didn't do it for money. I know. That's why I wanted to give it to you." Daniel shook his head, but he was smiling slightly. "You have no idea." Ben raced back, tugging on Daniel's sleeve. Dad! They have a whole pteranodon skeleton. Can we see it? please? Lead the way, buddy. They spent 2 hours in the museum, and Evelyn couldn't remember the last time she'd felt this light. Ben's enthusiasm was contagious, and Daniel's quiet presence beside her felt surprisingly right. As they emerged into the late afternoon sunshine, Ben grabbed both their hands, swinging between them as they walked down the museum steps. "This was the best day ever," he announced. "Can we come back next week?" "We'll see," Daniel said, catching Evelyn's eye over Ben's head. "I'd like that," Evelyn heard herself say. "If you would." "Yeah?" Daniel's smile was cautious, hopeful. "Yeah." Ben cheered, and Evelyn laughed. And for just a moment, standing on the museum steps with a man she barely knew and his beautiful, exuberant son, Evelyn felt something she hadn't felt in years. Possibility. Monday morning brought a return to reality. Evelyn sat through back-to-back meetings, approved 3 major contracts, and fielded calls from investors who wanted reassurance about the company's quarterly projections. By noon, her head was pounding. "Miss Hart?" Her assistant, Jennifer, appeared in the doorway. "Someone named Tom Rivera from Riverside Plumbing is on line 3. He's called twice." Evelyn frowned. She'd already handled the bonus situation. What could the owner want now? "Put him through." The line clicked. "Miss Hart, thank you for taking my call. I wanted to reach out personally about Daniel Cooper." Evelyn's stomach dropped. "Is something wrong?" "Wrong?" "No, quite the opposite." Tom's voice was warm, slightly gravelly. "I've been in this business 30 years, and I've never had a client call to compliment an employee the way you did. Not just the bonus, though, Daniel's an idiot for turning that down, but what you said in your email, about him going above and beyond, about treating your family with respect and care. He did. He was." Evelyn searched for the right word. "Exceptional. He's one of my best guys. Always has been." Tom paused. "Look, I'm not supposed to share employee information, but Daniel's had it rough these past few years, and he'd kill me for saying this, but that man could use a win. So whatever you're doing, whatever this is, I just wanted to say thank you." He came in Saturday morning with a smile I haven't seen since before his wife passed. The words settled around Evelyn like a weight and a gift all at once. "I'm not doing anything special," she said quietly. "With all due respect, Miss Hart, I think you are. And I think he knows it too." After they hung up, Evelyn sat at her desk for a long time, staring at the skyline without really seeing it. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number that must be Daniel. "Ben hasn't stopped talking about the museum. He wants to know if Lily can come next time. Says she'd probably like the dinosaurs even though she's a baby." Evelyn smiled, typing back. "She's 3 months old. She mostly likes milk and sleep. So, like me on weekends then." The laugh escaped before she could stop it. Several executives passing her office glanced in with surprise. Evelyn Hart didn't laugh during business hours. "There's a children's botanical garden in Brooklyn. They have a fairy house exhibit Ben might like." "This Saturday?" The response was immediate. "He'll lose his mind." "In a good way." "Bring Lily?" Evelyn hesitated. Bringing her daughter meant this wasn't just a casual outing. It meant something more, something she wasn't sure she was ready to name. "Yes, bring Lily." Saturday arrived cold and clear, the kind of November day that made the city feel almost manageable. Evelyn bundled Lily in layers, checked the diaper bag 3 times, and tried to ignore the butterflies in her stomach. This was just a friendly outing. 2 single parents letting their kids see some plants and fairy houses. Nothing more. Except her hands were shaking as she strapped Lily into the car seat. "Nervous, dear?" Margaret observed from the doorway. "Terrified," Evelyn admitted. "Good. The things worth doing usually are." The botanical garden was less crowded than Evelyn had feared. Daniel and Ben were waiting near the entrance, the little boy practically bouncing with excitement. "You brought her," Ben announced, racing over to peer at Lily. "She's so tiny." Can I hold her? Maybe when she's a bit bigger, Daniel said, one hand on Ben's shoulder. Babies are fragile. I'd be careful. I know, buddy. But let's just walk with her for now, okay? They made their way through the gardens, Ben leading the charge toward the fairy houses while Daniel pushed Lily's stroller. Evelyn walked beside him, hyper-aware of how natural it felt. He's been talking about this all week, Daniel said, asking if fairies are real, if they actually live in the houses, what they eat. What did you tell him? That some magic is real if you believe in it hard enough. Evelyn glanced at him. Do you believe that? I believe in holding on to wonder when you can. Daniel looked down at Lily, sleeping peacefully in her stroller. The world tries to stamp it out of you fast enough. Might as well fight back. They spent hours wandering the gardens, watching Ben discover each new fairy house with fresh delight. Lily woke halfway through, and before Evelyn could lift her out, Daniel had scooped her up with practiced ease. May I? He asked, already settling the baby against his shoulder. You don't have to. I know. He adjusted Lily's hat against the cold breeze. But I like holding babies. Reminds me of when Ben was this small. Before he learned to argue about everything. I heard that. Ben called from inside a particularly elaborate fairy house made of twigs and moss. Evelyn watched Daniel rock her daughter gently, murmuring something too soft to hear. Lily gazed up at him with wide eyes, one tiny fist wrapped around his finger. Something in Evelyn's chest cracked open. You're good at this, she said. Practice. Daniel smiled down at Lily, though she makes it easy. You've got a sweet one here, Evelyn. She has her moments, mostly at 3 in the morning. The best babies always do. They found a bench near a small pond, Ben racing around looking for acorns, while Daniel kept Lily entertained with silly faces. Evelyn sat beside them, feeling the cold seep through her coat, watching her daughter smile at a man she'd known for less than 2 weeks. Can I tell you something? Daniel's voice was quiet. That night, when I stayed with Lily, I almost didn't. Evelyn looked at him sharply. Not because I didn't want to help, he clarified quickly, but because it's been 3 years since Rachel died, and I've been so careful. Careful not to get involved. Careful not to let Ben get attached to anyone who might leave. It's safer that way. Easier. But you stayed. But I stayed. He met her eyes. And I've been trying to figure out why. I think it's because Lily reminded me that sometimes the scariest thing isn't getting involved. It's staying safe and alone. The words hung between them. Honest and raw. I'm scared too, Evelyn admitted. Of this. Of whatever this is. I know. I'm not good at it. Relationships. People. Could have fooled me. I mean it, Daniel. I'm ruthless in business. I make decisions that hurt people's careers, their livelihoods. I don't flinch. She looked down at her hands. But this, you and Ben and the way Lily looks at you like you hung the moon, it terrifies me. Daniel shifted Lily slightly, his expression thoughtful. Want to know what terrifies me? That I'm starting to care what you think. That Ben asks about you every day. That when I'm fixing someone's water heater, I'm wondering if you've had a good day. Evelyn's breath caught. So, yeah, Daniel continued. I'm scared too. But I think maybe that's the point. Maybe the things that scare us are the ones worth holding on to. Before Evelyn could respond, Ben raced over, arms full of acorns. Look what I found. Can we plant them? Dad? Can we make our own tree? Daniel laughed, the moment broken but not lost. We can try, buddy. As the sun started to set, painting the gardens in shades of gold and amber, Evelyn took Lily back from Daniel. Their hands brushed, and neither pulled away immediately. Same time next week? Daniel asked. Evelyn nodded, unable to form words around the hope and fear tangled in her throat. Same time next week. The weeks that followed developed a rhythm. Saturdays with Daniel and Ben. Sundays recovering while Lily napped, and Evelyn tried not to overthink everything. Weekdays buried in work, phone calls with Daniel in the evening while Ben did homework, and Lily practiced her baby babbles. It wasn't dating. "You're glowing," Jennifer observed one Thursday afternoon, delivering a stack of contracts. "Should I be concerned?" "I don't glow. I'm a businesswoman. You're humming show tunes and actually smiled at Gerald from accounting yesterday. That man's been terrified of you for 6 years. Evelyn fought back a smile. "I have no idea what you're talking about." "Well, whoever he is, keep him around. This version of you is much less likely to make grown men cry in board meetings." After Jennifer left, Evelyn allowed herself a small smile. She was happy. When had that happened? Her phone buzzed. "Daniel, Ben wants to know if Lily can come to his school's winter concert next Friday. He's playing a tree in the holiday pageant." "A tree?" "He takes his craft very seriously. There's swaying involved. We'll be there." The concert was exactly as chaotic as Evelyn expected. Dozens of 5-year-olds in various costumes, singing off-key and waving at parents in the audience. Ben, dressed in brown and green, swayed with intense concentration while murdering jingle bells along with his classmates. Evelyn sat in the third row, Lily sleeping in her carrier, watching Daniel beam with pride at his son. "He's so serious," she whispered. "Always has been." Daniel couldn't take his eyes off Ben. Gets it from his mother. She was like that too, committed to everything 100%. It was the first time Daniel had mentioned his wife without prompting. Evelyn stayed quiet, giving him space. "She would have liked you," he continued softly. "Rachel. She had this thing about people who owned their ambition. Said the world needed more women who didn't apologize for being excellent. She sounds wonderful." She was. Daniel's hand found Evelyn's on the armrest between them. "She would have wanted me to be happy again. To give Ben a full life, not just a safe one." Evelyn's fingers tightened around his. "Is that what this is? You being happy? Getting there." He looked at her then, really looked. "You? Getting there?" she echoed. After the concert, they went for hot chocolate at a diner Ben loved. The place was loud and sticky and everything Evelyn usually avoided. But watching Ben describe every moment of his performance with wild hand gestures made her forget about the questionable hygiene rating. "And then Tommy forgot his line, so I had to stand there being a tree for like 5 whole minutes. It was so hard not to laugh." "You were very professional," Evelyn assured him. "The best tree I've ever seen." "Really?" "Absolutely. Very tree-like." Ben giggled, and Lily chose that moment to wake up, making her hungry sounds. Evelyn started to reach for the diaper bag, but Daniel was already pulling out a bottle, testing the temperature like he'd done it 1,000 times. "Here." He passed it to Evelyn. "Want me to hold her while you feed her? I can manage." "I know you can. I'm offering anyway." Something in his tone made Evelyn pause. There was no judgment, no expectation. Just a simple offer of help from someone who understood that parenting was easier with backup. She let him take Lily, let him settle the baby in his arms while Evelyn prepared the bottle. Let herself accept help instead of forcing her way through alone. Ben watched them with interest. "Is Lily going to be my sister?" The diner went very quiet. Or maybe that was just the blood rushing in Evelyn's ears. "Ben," Daniel said carefully, "we're not? I'd like a sister," Ben continued, oblivious to the tension. "Tommy has 3 sisters and he says it's annoying, but I think it'd be cool. I could teach her about dinosaurs." Daniel's face had gone slightly red. "Buddy, Lily has her own family. Evelyn is her mom, but you could be her dad. You're good at being a dad." "That's not how it works." "Why not?" "Because." Daniel looked helplessly at Evelyn. She surprised herself by laughing. "You know what, Ben? That's a very good question." "Evelyn," Daniel said, half warning, half plea. "I'm not proposing," she assured him. "But he's not wrong. You are good at being a dad. So are you at being a mom, Ben insisted. You bought me that dinosaur book last week, even though it was super expensive. It was $20, Ben. That's like $1 million kid dollars. Evelyn and Daniel's eyes met over the children, and suddenly they were both laughing, the tension breaking like a bubble. We're a mess, Evelyn said. Yeah. Daniel adjusted Lily, who had finished her bottle and was trying to grab his nose. Later, after they'd dropped Ben off at a friend's house for a sleepover, and Lily had fallen asleep in her car seat, Daniel walked Evelyn to her car. I'm sorry about the sister thing, he said. Ben gets ideas sometimes. It's okay. Evelyn loaded Lily's carrier into the base. It was actually kind of sweet, was it? She straightened, finding Daniel watching her with an expression she couldn't quite read. Yeah, she said softly. It was. Evelyn. Daniel stepped closer, close enough that she could see the flecks of gray in his blue eyes. I know we're taking this slow. I know we're both scared. But I need you to know something. What? This isn't casual for me. You're not casual for me. He reached up, brushing a strand of hair from her face. I don't know where this is going, but I know I want to find out. Evelyn's heart hammered against her ribs. I want that too. Yeah? Yeah. Daniel smiled, soft and genuine. Good. He kissed her then, gentle and careful, like she was something precious. And for the first time in her carefully controlled life, Evelyn let herself fall. The first article appeared on a gossip blog 3 days later. Billionaire CEO Evelyn Hart spotted with mystery man. The photo showed them leaving the diner, Daniel's hand on the small of Evelyn's back, both of them laughing. Lily wasn't visible, thank God, but Ben was clearly in the frame. Jennifer brought it to her attention immediately. I've already called legal. They're working on getting it taken down. Don't bother. Evelyn studied the photo. They looked happy. Normal. It's not worth the fight. Miss Hart, with all due respect, your personal life is about to become very public. The board will have questions. Investors will have concerns. We should get ahead of this. And say what? That I'm not allowed to have dinner with a friend? Is that what he is? A friend? Evelyn met Jennifer's eyes steadily. That's none of the board's business. By Friday, the story had grown legs. 3 more blogs picked it up, each with increasingly salacious headlines. Hartwell Industries CEO dating service worker. Billionaire's blue-collar romance. From penthouse to plumbing. Evelyn Hart's downgrade. That last one made Evelyn see red. The board meeting that afternoon was tense. 14 men in expensive suits, looking at her with expressions ranging from concern to thinly veiled contempt. Evelyn, Marcus, the eldest board member, began carefully. We're worried about optics. Optics. Evelyn kept her voice level. Meaning that Hartwell Industries is a family company. Conservative values. And you're the face of that company. So dating a plumber while raising a child out of wedlock sends a certain message. The room went very quiet. Let me make sure I understand, Evelyn said, each word precise. You're concerned that my personal life, my private choices about who I spend time with, reflects poorly on a company I built from the ground up. We're concerned about shareholder confidence, another board member interjected. Shareholder confidence has never been higher. We posted record profits last quarter. Our stock price is up 18% year over year. What, exactly, is the problem? The problem, Marcus said bluntly, is that you're behaving impulsively, recklessly, and it's making people nervous. Evelyn stood, placing both palms flat on the conference table. Gentlemen, I have given this company everything. 80-hour weeks, missed holidays, sacrificed relationships. Sleep. My health. I've earned the right to have a life outside these walls. If that makes you nervous, I suggest you examine why a successful woman's happiness threatens you so deeply. She walked out before anyone could respond. Her phone was ringing before she reached her office. "Daniel, are you okay?" he asked immediately. "I just saw the articles." "I'm fine, Evelyn. I'm furious, actually, but I'm handling it." A pause. "This is because of me. The board stuff. The bad press. This is because of them. Because apparently my personal life is public property. I should have been more careful. Should have thought about. Don't." Evelyn's voice was sharp. "Don't you dare apologize for existing, Daniel. They're wrong, not you." Another pause, longer this time. "I'm at Ben's school," his teacher called. "Some of the other parents have been talking." Evelyn's stomach dropped. "What kind of talking?" "The kind where they wonder if I'm with you for money. If I'm using Ben to get close to you. One mother actually suggested I was angling for a payout. That's disgusting." "Yeah." Daniel's voice was tight. "I pulled Ben out early. He was hearing stuff. 5-year-olds don't understand why adults are being mean about their dad." Evelyn closed her eyes. "Daniel, I'm so sorry. Not your fault." "It is. This is my world, my consequences." "Our consequences," he corrected quietly. "If we're doing this and I want to be clear, I still want to do this, then it's our problem to solve. What if we can't? Then we figure out what we can live with." A beat. "Can you live with people thinking less of you for being with me?" The question hit like a physical blow. "Yes. Can you live with people thinking you're using me? I've lived through worse." They were both quiet for a moment, the weight of what they were facing settling between them. "I don't want to give you up," Evelyn said finally. "Good. Because I don't want to be given up." Despite everything, she smiled. "What do? We keep going. We ignore the noise. We protect Ben and Lily." Daniel's voice strengthened. "And we don't let them make us ashamed of something good." That evening, Evelyn posted to her personal social media for the first time in 2 years. A simple statement: "My personal life is my own. My company's success speaks for itself. To those concerned about my choices, concern yourself with your own." The internet exploded. Half praised her, half condemned her. Evelyn turned off her phone and spent the evening with Lily, refusing to let the noise touch what mattered. Daniel called at 9, after Ben was asleep. "Saw your post. Too much?" "No. Just enough." She could hear the smile in his voice. "My boss called. Apparently we're getting a surge in business. People who want to support the guy who stole a billionaire's heart. You didn't steal anything. I gave it freely. I know. But it's a good story." They talked until midnight, about nothing and everything, until Evelyn's eyes grew heavy and her words started to slur. "Go to sleep," Daniel said gently. "I'll still be here tomorrow. Promise?" "Promise." The crisis came to a head on a Wednesday. Evelyn sat in her office, staring at 2 documents. One was a petition from the board, requesting she take a step back from public-facing duties until the situation stabilized. The other was a resignation letter from Daniel, handwritten, explaining that he couldn't be the reason her career suffered. Neither was acceptable. She called an emergency board meeting for that afternoon. Every member showed up, clearly expecting her to capitulate. Instead, Evelyn walked in with her lawyer and a stack of documents. "Gentlemen, let's discuss my contract." She slid papers across the table. Specifically, the clause that states I have controlling interest in this company, 51%, which means that while I value your input, I don't require your permission to live my life. Marcus's face went red. "Evelyn, be reasonable. I'm being extremely reasonable. I've given you a profitable quarter, a stable company, a clear vision for growth. What I do on my own time, with my own family, is not your concern. But the optics are excellent. We've gotten more positive press in the last week than in the last year. Turns out people like seeing a CEO who's human." Evelyn leaned forward. "Here's what's going to happen. You're going to do your jobs. I'm going to do mine. And we're all going to remember that I built this company when everyone said a woman couldn't. I'm not about to let you tear it down because I'm choosing happiness." She stood. "If anyone has a problem with that, my lawyer has prepared buyout packages. You're welcome to take them." No one moved. "Good. We're done here." Evelyn walked out with her head high, drove straight to Daniel's apartment, and knocked on the door. He answered, looking exhausted, Ben visible behind him watching cartoons. "I got your letter," Evelyn said without preamble. Daniel winced. "Evelyn, it's insulting." "What?" "Your letter. It's insulting. You think I can't handle my own board? That I need you to sacrifice yourself to protect me? That's not what I'm a billionaire, Daniel. I've been underestimated my entire life. I've fought for every dollar, every contract, every ounce of respect. Do you really think I'm going to let a bunch of men in suits dictate who I care about?" Daniel stared at her. "I was trying to make it easier." "I don't want easier. I want you." Evelyn took a breath. "I want Saturday mornings and museum trips and watching Ben be a tree. I want someone who knows how to hold my daughter, who makes me laugh, who doesn't care about my portfolio or my connections or what I can do for his career. I don't care about any of that. I know. That's why I'm here." Daniel glanced back at Ben, then stepped into the hallway, pulling the door mostly closed. "This isn't going to get easier. The scrutiny, the judgment. I know. People are going to say terrible things about both of us. Let them. Ben's going to hear stuff at school. Lily might too, eventually. Then we'll teach them that love is worth fighting for." Evelyn moved closer. "Daniel, I spent 34 years building walls, being strong, being untouchable, and then you fed my daughter a bottle, and everything I thought I needed crumbled. Evelyn, I don't need perfect. I don't need easy. I just need you to stop trying to protect me from my own choices." She took his hand. "Stay. Please, let's figure this out together." Daniel was quiet for a long moment, searching her face. Then he pulled her into a kiss that felt like surrender and victory all at once. When they broke apart, he was smiling. "You're kind of terrifying when you're determined. I'm a billionaire CEO. Terrifying is my baseline. Dad?" Ben appeared in the doorway. "Is Evelyn staying for dinner?" Daniel looked at her, eyebrows raised. "I'd love to," Evelyn said. "If that's okay." "Yes." Ben pumped his fist. "Can we order pizza? The good kind with all the toppings? Whatever you want, buddy." As Ben raced off to find the menu, Daniel pulled Evelyn inside. "Fair warning. The apartment's a mess. Dinner's going to be greasy, and Ben will probably try to convince you that bedtime is optional." Sounds perfect, and somehow, impossibly, it was. 3 months later, Evelyn stood at a podium in front of the entire Hartwell Industries staff, announcing a new division. Sustainable infrastructure development will focus on green building practices, working with small contractors and local businesses to create environmentally responsible construction projects. She caught Daniel's eye in the audience. He was sitting near the back, Ben coloring beside him while Margaret held a sleeping Lily. "Our Director of Creative Development will be Daniel Cooper, who brings 15 years of hands-on experience in building systems and a vision for sustainable urban design." The room erupted in applause. Daniel looked stunned. After the presentation, he found her in her office. "You didn't have to do that. I didn't do it because I had to. I did it because you're brilliant and qualified, and this company needs people who understand buildings from the ground up, not just the blueprint down." Evelyn smiled. Also, the board tried to argue. It was very satisfying to override them. "Evelyn Hart, are you using your position to benefit your boyfriend?" "Absolutely. Though technically, you're not my boyfriend." She pulled a small box from her drawer. "You're my partner. If you want to be." Daniel stared at the box. "Is that a key to the penthouse? Also paperwork to add you as Lily's legal guardian, if you want, and a proposal to combine our families in whatever way feels right. I know it's fast, I know it's complicated, But Ben asked if Lily could be his sister. And I realized I want that too. I want morning chaos and dinosaur facts and someone who knows how to fix the water heater when it breaks. That's the most unromantic proposal I've ever heard. I'm not good at romantic. You're perfect at it. Daniel pulled her close. Yes. To all of it, yes. 6 months after that, they sold Evelyn's penthouse and bought a brownstone in Brooklyn with a yard for Ben and a nursery that overlooked a garden. Lily took her first steps there, with both Daniel and Evelyn hovering nervously. Ben started first grade and told everyone his baby sister was the coolest thing ever, even though she couldn't talk yet. The board eventually stopped complaining when sustainable infrastructure became Hartwell's fastest-growing division. The gossip blogs moved on to other targets, and slowly, quietly, life settled into something neither Evelyn nor Daniel had expected. Normal. Happy. Theirs. 1 year to the day after Daniel had walked into her penthouse, Evelyn came home from work to find him in the kitchen, Lily on his hip while he stirred something on the stove. She wouldn't nap, he explained. And I figured if I'm holding her, she can't destroy anything. Smart. Evelyn kissed Lily's cheek, then Daniel's lips. Where's Ben? Playdate. Back at 6. Daniel handed her a glass of wine. We've got 2 hours of relative peace. Whatever shall we do with it? I have some ideas. They settled on the couch, Lily between them, watching the city lights flicker on as the sun set. It wasn't glamorous, it wasn't perfect, but it was real. And as Lily grabbed for her mother's hand and her father's simultaneously, pulling them together with baby determination, Evelyn realized something. Success wasn't building an empire. It was building a home, and she'd finally found hers.